How's it going, everybody? My name is Ben from the Ben and Bev channel, and today we are going to be talking about WandaVision Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. If you have not been watching WandaVision up until this point, just do it, okay?
Just do it.
So at the end of last week's episode, Wanda had expanded the Hex a few more miles, or maybe 10 miles. It was a lot. She expanded a lot, surrounded the complete sword encampment, turned it into a circus camp. In this episode, Vision wakes up there and tracks down Darcy and tries to figure out what all is going on outside the wall and what all she can remember, if she can remember. That's a pretty funny set of scenes when you see her and some of the other agents interacting as circus people, because that's just what they're programmed to do. We also have Wanda, who's been taking the day off because she's been pretty tired from what she's been doing. We changed the narrative structure to more of the modern sitcom style, like Parks and Recreation or The Office, where the characters kind of talk directly to us, almost as if they are being interviewed for a documentary about the events that are happening within the false reality that we find ourselves in, which is a solid joke because it's a false reality type of show, and it's honestly kind of confusing, but it's a solid joke to be pulling in a show talking about reality. And they complete it by having that theme song being very similar to The Office's and flashing a bunch of Wanda nameplates up. It was pretty clever. I was laughing through it. We get to see Monica try and find another way in, whether it's through this giant sword cart or the crazy suit she has. She just has to find a way in, even though she's not worried about it being her DNA. I've been thinking this whole time, it's just like, I know in the comics she's supposed to be a superhero, and her character this whole time to me has just screamed, I'm gonna run into that thing until I magically have superpowers. But I mean, hey, that's a talk for another day, right? But anyways, other than that, I would say it's just another expansion into the utter chaos that is this reality breaking as things begin to shift, whether it's the boys' video game controllers turning to joysticks or the Uno cards for that matter. That was a solid joke. I honestly think it was one of my favorite episodes. I don't want to spoil anything until the spoiler section, so I'm not going to say why it's my favorite episode. But I will say Pietro had a much smaller role this time, and I will also say, this is very important, make sure to stick around for a mid-credit scene. I will warn y'all again, but there is a mid-credit scene this time around. You definitely need to check it out. I was really happy about the plot development, and I'm excited to see where it goes next week, especially now that I know there's 9 episodes and that there's not 8, so we have 2 more episodes left. Let's get to that spoiler talk. I know just a few seconds ago I was saying it's always seemed to me like Monica was going to end up being the superhero she is in the comics. Well, it happens. She drives that truck right into the thing, and it doesn't go through all the way. It shoots out, and then half of it becomes a pickup truck, which I thought was pretty funny. It was like a rusted out pickup truck on half, and then a crazy lunar rover looking sword truck on the other half. And yeah, then she just runs into it head on. And it was honestly a really cool scene, the special effects they used, the way she walked through it. It looked like it just tore reality apart, and there was different voices from her memories kind of reaching into her head, and we heard it in kind of like a binaural audio experience from both sides as the reality warps and changes, and she pulls herself through different personalities from the shows as well as everything, and she comes through on the other side with what looks like a sword bodysuit, and she was able to withstand Wanda's powers when they had that little interaction on a front lawn. After she gets there, she runs in and tries to talk to her. Wanda just throws her out. But Agnes comes over, and the Agnes stuff, of course we've been expecting the Agatha Harkness thing because, well, it's her name, and if you've looked into any of the leaks or if you read any of the comics, you know that she's directly tied to Wanda. When they saw the name Agnes, we figured she's at least going to be part of the villain, even though there's been references to multiple villains throughout the series. But when she sent the kids with Agnes early on, and they went over there, and I'm going blank on which kid has the telekinetic abilities, but I'm going to go on a limb and say it's Tommy, or Timmy, or Tommy, and he's just like, oh, it's really quiet here, and you're really quiet, and I was like, the dude has telekinetic abilities, should not be quiet right here. That was the first giveaway for me. And then when Wanda gets over there after she helps her, and the locusts are everywhere, and I just loved her going down in that evil witch's lair with all the crazy stuff in it. And then their little convo about how shit's been her the whole time, and that ending song that they gave her about how it's always been Agnes, that was outstanding as well. I loved all of the Vision and Darcy stuff, because they're just kind of stuck over there in that encampment. Vision figures out about his life, but it just kind of confuses him, and he feels bad that he doesn't remember the pain, but to him it's just like another person, and I can totally understand that. It was fun to watch them also talk to the camera, us, about how Wanda's just distracting them and he's just tired of it. And Vision at one point goes, wait, why am I even talking to you people? And he just walks off set from the stolen funnel cake cart that they have. I mean, it was a good time. That mid-credit scene was also really good. Monica Rambeau's cool little powers. So far it just looks like she can resist stuff, and then her eyes were blue. I don't know if she could see energy, but it looked like a 1970s psychedelic visualizer or something. I was kind of confused. But when she was at the end, and then you see Pietro for the first time, and he's just like, Snooper gonna snoop. I was like, okay, that's perfect. Your short Evan Peters cameo for the episode. And now that I know there's 2 more, I'm super hyped to see how it ends, especially now that we know that is Agnes. Is she the only villain? Monica has powers. What all can she do? I mean, oh, also, Hayward. That is important. It appears that he was trying to resurrect Vision and use him for his original Ultron capabilities, which was defend the Earth from everything. But I was like, that's not a good idea. I'm glad Wanda got a hold of it. There was a lot of jokes about all the different realities breaking back and forth as all the furniture shifts and everything, and Wanda loses control on her day off, and she makes the joke about everything being meaningless to the boys, and she goes, oh, a tad dark, I'm sorry. And it was super funny episode. I loved the little bits of action, suspense. I loved the wonky witchcraft and all the jokes, and I liked Agnes when she kind of switched over into her witchy role and just kind of showed what all she could do. It was a pretty exciting episode, and who knows what happens next. So in short, I think this week's episode has been one of the stronger ones so far, with lots of development in the plot as well as in some of the characters like Monica as well as in Agnes. I also like that there was a mid-credit scene. As a Marvel fan, it's just a little cherry on top for us to get something close to an after-credit scene referencing something in the future, even if it's just a joke, which is literally all it was just a joke for the end of the episode. And I think everything that they're doing so far is kind of coming together here. We're getting to see some reveals, stuff that was pretty obvious to us from the get-go, but it was nice to see. There's some pretty cool interdimensional travel, as well as some pretty solid sitcom stuff when they switched over to the more modern take, where the characters are kind of speaking to us and cracking jokes about everything that's going on. The Vision and Darcy pairing, as well as the Wanda solo moments, were quite funny as well. And I'm super excited for what's next week, and now that I know there's a 9th episode, I'm super excited for that. Once again, don't forget the mid-credit scene. Like, comment, subscribe. Ben and not Bev, sadly, but soon, I promise, there will be a Ramen Day video coming up very shortly. It is in the editing stages at the moment. Ben and Ben out.